So this passage ties together with last week, where John said, listen, you need to love in deed and in truth. You need to actually do these loving things. And he's going to then tie it together and say, listen, by loving, by doing this, it actually is going to bring about assurance in your life. So I want to walk through the things that John shows that by loving that we are assured of. Number one is this: by loving we are assured of truth. 1 John 3:18 through 19 says this: little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. By this we shall know that we are of the truth and reassure our heart before Him. Here's why I love how honest John is. John understands this truth about every single human being: doubt is inevitable. If you're a believer in Jesus Christ, there is going to be times and seasons in your life where doubt comes and creeps in. And you might say, well, Pastor, not for me. Then that's amazing. Because you'd be outside of certain company. I can't help but think about the story of John the Baptist. John the Baptist was baptizing people, looking forward to Jesus' coming. And then Jesus comes down and He says, look, behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. He knew exactly who Jesus was. He was excited about the Messiah being there. Then we fast forward just a little bit later, and John's sitting in prison. And what does John do? John sends his disciples and says, hey, go ask Jesus this question: are you the one, or are we waiting for another one? John had that moment going, I thought it was you, and I believe it's you, and yet doubt has got a hold of me right now. And I need to know, are you the one? It's not just John the Baptist, but there's a guy whose name is synonymous with doubt. Everybody says, well, it's Doubting Thomas. But Thomas gets a bad rap, and here's why Thomas gets a bad rap. Thomas was the one that when Jesus was heading back to Jerusalem said, listen, let's go with Him, and if we die, we die. Let's go. I believe this. I am in 100%. And then fast forward, and there's the upper room, and the disciples saying, listen, we saw Jesus. And he said, I wish it was true, but I really need to see the scars. I need to see the hole. I need to see some evidence here to believe this. And we all go, Thomas. But the reality is, that's each and every one of us. There's these moments of doubt. And what I want to do is, John knew that that was happening. He says, listen, by this we shall know that we are of truth and reassure our hearts before Him. John knew that your heart needs to be reassured at times. So here is what he gives us in order to reassure our hearts. There's only one thing that's going to work. If your heart is having doubts and somebody comes along and says, get over it, let it go, that doesn't work. That's not going to help you. It's going to make you frustrated, make you mad. There's one thing for doubt that is needed. It is this. It is evidence. You want evidence. And so here's what John says. John says, listen, when you're struggling with doubt and you want to reassure your heart of doubt, little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. By this we shall know that we are of the truth and reassure our heart before Him. He's saying, I want you to pause and look at the evidence that is there in your life. Look at the evidence that is there in the lives of other people and be reassured in that way. You see, because we're really good at being really down on ourselves. Here's what I mean by that. In the decades of doing ministry, a lot of those doing youth ministry, I have been to countless sporting events. I mean, I have been to so many different sporting events. I've been to tons of football games and basketball games and baseball games and lacrosse games and gone to cheerleading, which, by the way, that's a sport. The girls told me that. You were there. And honestly, I believe that now because I can't do a cartwheel, so that must take some skills. But I've been to all these different sports. But guess what happens when I go and watch these students participate in their sports? Afterwards, I get them together because I want to come see them and tell them, hey, this was awesome. I got to come see you. The first things out of their mouth is, hey, you know what? When I messed up on that one shot was this. Hey, here's what happened whenever I missed that pitch or whenever this happened. They want to talk about all the ways that they got it wrong. You know what I like to do? You know one of the things that's beneficial for me is I get to go, listen, I know that you had 2 touchdowns scored on you, but what about those interceptions that you got that sealed the game for your team? Let's look at that evidence that is there and look at that positive that is there in your life and be reassured in that way. So what happens is our loving in the right way actually provides the evidence for our hearts to be reassured. So whenever you're starting to feel down and doubtful and wondering, is this true? The only solution is looking at the evidence. And so here's what I want you to write down in your sermon listening guide. I want you to reject the witness of your heart. Reject the witness, reject the testimony of your heart that is telling you doubt and this is not real and this is not what it is, and receive the witness of the Lord. Receive the witness of the Lord. What is that evidence of it being true? One of the ways that I would encourage you in this is to have someone that loves you, that cares about you, to come alongside you and to help you examine your life and see the evidence that is there. Have somebody come along who is kind and gentle and loving, who's going to tell you, look, here it is. Now, here's the deal. When I watched all those students, I didn't make stuff up. It wasn't me going, oh, you scored 6 touchdowns. That was amazing, when they did not do that. What I did was see the things that they did right and encourage them in those areas and reassure them that they did a great job. Hey, in the same way, by loving other people, we are assured of the truth.